A very good evening. My name is Beatrice Njeri. Our sign language interpreter is Paul Mathenge, and this is GBS News 9 coming to you live from Kenya's capital, Nairobi. We have a lot lined up for you tonight, but first, here are the highlights.
Swearing a new deputy president, you kick in motion a whole series of events, including a president, a deputy president, who is now exercising constitutional mandate, who is chairing cabinet committees that may ultimately be found to have acted outside the constitution of Kenya.
Is it justice or delaying tactics with the courts? Gachagua again cries for justice against a three-judge bench selected to hear his impeachment case.
Emotional when we are discussing about feeding our children, especially those who would otherwise not have an opportunity to have a meal.
President William Ruto graces the second ministerial meeting of the task force of the School Meals Coalition, Nairobi County. President Ruto meets CIA Director of Intelligence Matters at State House. We tell you more on what transpired in the meeting with the world's top institution of intelligence director. Deserved or rigged in? Manchester City's and Spain midfielder Rodri beats Real Madrid ace Vinicius Jr. to this year's Men Ballon d'Or as Real Madrid boycott the ceremony. And now the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has once again drawn another backlash to a bench of 3 judges that was formed to hear and make a decision on his case, blocking Professor Kithure Kindiki from being sworn in. The Deputy President, who has spent 2 weeks at Milimani Law Court seeking justice, has stated that the responsibility to form a bench to hear and decide the case of such a high profile is not only left for Chief Justice. Sentiments had been raised before. Gachagua has asked the court to be transparent in making a decision over his case.
If you swear in a new deputy president, you kick in motion a whole series of events, including a president, a deputy president, who is now exercising constitutional mandate, who is chairing cabinet committees that may ultimately be found to have acted outside the constitution of Kenya. The balance lies in granting conservatory orders so that we can do this in a civil manner. Former Supreme Court Judge of the Supreme Court of Kenya, Justice Ojwang, used to call a pacific resolution of the dispute. As I said, the Constitution has given ample time for all of us to interrogate these questions. 60 days is the magic figure the Constitution gave us. Let's not be in a rush to undo the timelines given to us by the Constitution. And finally, the decision of, I believe, Gatirau Munya, the question of the public funds that are expended, swearing in a new deputy president, getting him a whole fleet of cars and workers, and the trappings of power, and as is the custom, perhaps even doing the road to his village home, all these sort of things. So let's hold our hands until we can determine whether the process that led us to this day was done constitutionally. That is the Peter Gatirau Munya decision. My lords and your ladyship, the decision you make in this matter will echo in eternity. It will be a turning point as to whether we continue being a constitutional democracy or a dictatorship and an autocracy. I beseech you, do not let us go down the path of autocracy and dictatorship.
A motion to increase the elective positions term that is being moved by Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei has received a blow after ODM leaders led by Honorable Edwin Sifuna vowed to reject it in totality. The Senate Legal and Justice Committee has reiterated to draft its report on the same report sponsored by Cherargei. ODM has stated that a 5-year term limit is enough time for any elected leader to deliver on the promises they made to their voters. They have also stated that the Kenyan Constitution is clear on leadership term limit and will not support any bill suggesting for extension of a term limit. Here are the details.
The Orange Democratic Movement Party leaders led by its Secretary General Honorable Edwin Sifuna and the Deputy Party Leader Honorable Godfrey Osotsi have voted to challenge and reject a motion on the extension of elective positions term limit, stating that a 5-year term limit stipulated in the Kenyan Constitution is enough for any elected leader to deliver on the promises they made to Kenyans.
Na nataka niwaambie leo kama katibu mkuu wa chama cha ODM, huo mswada hauna uungwaji mkono kutoka kwa seneta ama mbunge yeyote wa ODM. Kwa sababu mimi kama katibu wa chama najua kwamba tumeridhika na katiba yetu ambayo inatupa miaka 5 kama watu ambao tumechaguliwa. Baada ya hiyo miaka turudi kwa wananchi, kama umefanya kazi uongezewe ingine, upewe promotion ama ufutwe kazi.
The Senate Minority Leader, whose sentiments were supported by the ODM Deputy Party Leader Godfrey Osotsi, have voted to reject the motion when it will be tabled to the floor of the House, in which the Senate Justice and Legal Committee has retreated to draft its report on this motion that is sponsored by Cherargei before its tabling.
Mambo ya Senator Cherargei lacks drama all the time. We are not ready for drama. We are saying 5 years is enough for leaders to perform.
The motion, which has gone through public participation, which ended on the 26th, has also been dealt with a backlash after the members of the public who gave their opinions rejected the report, which some even suggested for the reduction of the term limit.
Any proposal to extend the term of these elected officials will amount to a fundamental alteration of the democratic processes by which citizens exercise their sovereign right to elect their representatives.
We elect you to go to the office to fight for Mwananchi. And yet when you go there, you are just going there for your beneficial.
The talks to increase a term limit for the public elective positions was stated by Senator Samson Cherargei just 3 months after President William Ruto was sworn into the office as the Kenya's 5th president, and the head of state rejected the motion suggested.
It is therefore justifiable to increase the presidential term limit to 7 years per term, totaling to 14 years. If someone is re-elected to office. I am cognizant that these proposals shall alter the governance structure as envisaged in the Constitution of Kenya, which in turn shall be subjected to public referendum or popular initiative as highlighted under Article 257 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. To the critics, let's meet in the contest.
But 2.5 years in power, the head of state keeps silence. Is Senator Cherargei now speaking loudly on what President William Ruto is whispering? Davis Karani, GBS News, Nairobi.
President William Ruto has announced an ambitious initiative aimed at ensuring by 2030, 10 million school-going children across the country will receive healthy, nutritious food. Speaking at the Global School Meals Coalition ministerial meeting today, President Ruto emphasized the vital role of school feeding programs within Kenya's broader education strategy. Here are the details. President William Ruto has assured Kenyans that by 2030, 10 million school-going children will receive healthy, nutritious food. Ruto noted that school meals have far-reaching benefits, including making adequate nutrition accessible, fostering learning, creating jobs, promoting sustainability, and uplifting communities. He regretted that hunger remains a significant challenge to the well-being of many, particularly in arid regions. As a result, Ruto revealed the government's goal of the school feeding program.
Hunger remains a significant challenge to the well-being of many, particularly in arid and semi-arid areas and also in our informal settlements. To address this, we have tripled the budgetary allocation for school feeding and set a clear goal to expand the program's coverage from 2.6 million kids to 10 million children by 2030. Towards this end, we launched an operational plan to scale up the program early this month.
Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja announced that the Dishina County initiative has reached the milestone of 30 million meals served within 14 months of its launch. This program has provided nourishment to over 310,000 students across 230 public schools in 17 sub-counties of the city. During a recent coalition meeting, Governor Sakaja highlighted the program's transformative impact, particularly for students in informal settlements.
Your Excellency, by reducing hunger, we have shown the impact. There's an increment in school attendance. In the past 1 year, enrollment has gone up by more than 34%. An example of a school, we've been with you together, Umoja 1 Primary, population has moved from 1650 to 2,552, more than 900 students because of the introduction of this. We used to have 210,000 children in Nairobi schools. Now there are 316,000 in our schools. And we want to thank you because now you pledged and you gave, you didn't just say it, 1 billion shillings to Nairobi County to increase the classroom so that we can have more of these children coming to our schools.
As the government continues to work towards these ambitious goals, the collaboration between various stakeholders will be vital in creating a healthier and a more educated future for Kenya's children. With a focused approach, Kenya can pave the way for sustainable solution to hunger and ensure that every child has the opportunity to thrive.
Giving them identity, and when they go back home and pay for it. And I want to thank my friend Anot Balozi.
Former Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta has called for Africa to take charge of its peace and security. Speaking at the AU's Peace and Stability Retreat in Cote d'Ivoire and later at Nigeria's National Defense College, Kenyatta urged African nations to build strong, self-sustained systems for peace. He emphasized that resilient local solutions and cooperation are key to lasting stabilities across the continent. Here is the full report.
Former Kenyan President, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, has once again urged African nations to take the reins in securing the continent's future. Addressing a distinguished assembly of African Union leaders, diplomats, and peace envoys at the 15th high-level retreat on peace, security, and stability in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire, Kenyatta stressed the need for African-led solutions to the continent's unique security challenges.
We must accept that as an African Union, we are greatly hindered in our ability to effectively execute our mandate by the fact that we have limited resources. That inability means we have to always depend on other actors for their support for what we call African-led solutions.
He pointed to the importance of building resilient, self-sufficient institutions capable of supporting and sustaining peace across Africa, highlighting that strong regional alliances start with empowered, stable nations. Shortly after his engagement in Abidjan, Kenyatta further reinforced this message in Nigeria, addressing the National Defense College in Abuja. He emphasized that investing in local, self-sustained peace and security initiatives is critical for long-term stability. He encouraged African nations to champion their own path towards peace by prioritizing local solutions, strengthening their institutions, and fostering alliances that are truly African. His message resonates as the continent faces complex security challenges, with Kenyatta's vision offering a renewed hope for a unified, resilient Africa, empowered to shape its own destiny. Irene Juguna, GBS News.
President William Ruto met with CIA Director William J. Burns at State House to discuss regional security challenges. The meeting highlighted ongoing collaboration between Kenya and the United States in addressing threats such as terrorism and organized crime. President Ruto emphasized the importance of vigilance against destabilizing crimes to protect peace and economic growth, praising international cooperation for its effectiveness in reducing threats. Here is more on the same.
In a significant meeting at State House, President William Ruto engaged with CIA Director William Burns alongside National Intelligence Service Director General Nudin Haji and other prominent leaders. The discussion focused on enhancing regional security and addressing various threats such as terrorism and organized crime. Following the meeting, President Ruto stated that the leadership in the region will remain vigilant against destabilizing crimes, emphasizing the need to safeguard peace, stability, democracy, and economic growth. He highlighted the positive impacts of international collaboration, which has notably diminished the threats of terrorism, radicalization, violent extremism, and organized crime. The CIA, as a crucial U.S. government agency, plays a vital role in providing objective intelligence to inform national security decisions. While not a law enforcement body, it partners with various U.S. agencies to tackle complex issues, including counterterrorism and counterintelligence. Through specialized teams, the CIA addresses high-priority challenges such as non-proliferation and narcotic trafficking, contributing significantly to the overall intelligence community. This meeting underscores the ongoing partnership between Kenya and the United States in confronting regional security challenges effectively. Triza Tiengo, GBS News.
Do keep your comments coming in through our SMS line 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. On that note, let us take our very first break. We'll be right back with even more.
Hello everyone. I'm so much thankful to have this precious time to actually share with you the word of God. When I was growing up and when I was attending church, my former church, I was taught that, you know, although I'm saved, but as I, when I commit sin, I become a sinner. And then when I become a sinner, again, I repent my sin every day for it to be forgiven, so that I can be assured of salvation. But when I was living a life of trying to confess my sin each and every day and believing that I'm a sinner, actually I could not have an assurance of my salvation in my heart. So I thought, and I was taught that my sin is, the deeds which I do outwardly. Until the time I came to realize, for sure, I'm a person who cannot really do good. The problem is not the deeds which I'm doing outwardly. The problem is the core. The core of my heart itself is evil. Jesus, what he did, he lived among us. And then he died on the cross because of our sin. And then he rose again. The reason why now he did not just resurrect and go to heaven, it is because of, to meet the disciple and to witness that, sin and death could not have any power in his life. He wanted to manifest that eternal life.
Wanasema afadhali nililie kwa Range Rover na nicheke kwa baiskeli.
Ndio sasa.
So ukisikiza wengine anakuanga ni uongo. Wanataka kukuonyesha
ni pia pressure. Mimi siwezi amka akikuja late, siwezi amka nimpatie chakula, siwezi fanya.
That is a friend of mine. Aliniambia yeye bwana yake ni mtu wa kununa. Yeye ana jam sometimes, sijui anaweza maybe ameboeka huko kazini, akikuja kwa nyumba amejam tu.
Mtu hata labda akulangi kama huyo mzee ajaingia kwa hiyo nyumba. Labda akulangi ama akisikia tu mlango ndio hiyo imeguzwa, ako chini.
Hapo kutuitiwa, unapelekwa mahali, unaanza kuchapa mahesabu yako. Hii pesa ingelipa school fees. Tungenunua vitu zingine tuongezee kwa nyumba.
Then naturally hawajaumbwa watu wa kupayuka, si kama sisi. Na the more unakaa na mtu, unakaa ukijua this person akiwa real ama akiwa na pressure fulani.
Bwanake mahali ameajiriwa kazi, bosi wake ni sugar mami wake.
Alafu
GBS.
Welcome back. You are still watching GBS News 9. A new initiative is underway at the National Criminal Investigations Academy as 29 detectives from Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Seychelles come together to sharpen their skills against the rising tide of cybercrime. This initiative training program, backed by Germany's BKA and GBS, focuses specifically on combating gender-based violence in the digital realm. This is a significant step towards stronger regional law enforcement and justice for victims. Here are the details.
In a significant step to combat cybercrime, 29 detectives from 5 East African countries, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Seychelles, are participating in a week-long training program at the National Criminal Investigation Academy. This initiative, supported by German's Central Criminal Investigation Agency, BKA and GBS, aims to enhance the skills of law enforcement in tackling cybercrimes, particularly cases related to gender-based violence. During the opening ceremony, Commandant Sospita Munye highlighted the importance of this training for ensuring justice for victims and encouraged detectives to share knowledge and best practices. Experts in the field will lead the session, focusing on the complexities of cyber investigation. This collaboration underscores the vital role of international partnership in addressing the growing threat to cybercrime in the region. Training is expected to bolster regional efforts in protecting victims and holding cybercriminals accountable. Triza Tieng.
A coalition of Kenyan human rights groups is calling on President William Ruto to declare femicide a national crisis following a disturbing rise in the brutal murders of women and girls across the country. The coalition, including FIDA Kenya, Siasa Place, and the Center for Community Development and Human Rights, is demanding urgent government action, citing several recent cases that have shocked the nation and underscoring the need for systemic change to protect women's rights and lives. Here is more on the same.
Declare femicide a national crisis. This is the call a coalition of human rights organizations is making to President William Ruto, following the increase of brutal murders of women and girls across the country. In a powerful statement, organizations like FIDA Kenya, Siasa Place, and the Center for Community Development and Human Rights are calling for immediate action to address what they are calling systemic failures in protecting women's constitutional rights. The coalition cited recent high-profile cases, including the murder of socialite starlet Wahu, found dead in an Airbnb, and Rita Waeni, a university student killed after meeting a stranger online. There is also the shocking discovery of 6 women bodies in Kware, Embakasi, linked to a suspect who still remains at large.
The country woke up to the utter shock of the media reports that the body of Yvonne Jirangwa, a 23-year-old trainee Catholic nun, was found in a sewer pit within Rongo Parish Convent. These are just a few of the incidents publicly reported, and we recognize that countless women and girls' murders have not received media coverage this year alone.
The coalition isn't holding back. They've demanded that President Ruto direct the National Police Service to provide a full investigation report on these cases within the next 14 days.
We can no longer afford to treat femicide as an isolated series of incidents. It is a national emergency that requires urgent and coordinated responses from the highest offices in the land. His Excellency the President must address the nation and speak to women and girls, providing a clear and unwavering commitment to their right to life, safety, and security.
FIDA Kenya reports that in 2024 alone, At least 30 women have been killed by intimate partners, a number they say speaks to a crisis of national concern. Coalition chairperson Christine Kungu warned that if concrete action isn't taken within 30 days, nationwide protest could be next.
The media has reported and highlighted the murders of at least 6 women whose bodies were dumped in Kware and Bakassi, shocking the entire country as well as the world. The main suspect in these horrific murders, Collins Jumaisi, escaped from Gigiri police station, and to date, his whereabouts are unknown. Further, the National Police Service is yet to issue a comprehensive statement on the circumstances that led to his escape and steps towards his rearrest and prosecution. Given the gravity of the charges he's facing, we maintain that indeed there's a laxity and lack of commitment by the National Police Service.
The coalition is also calling for the creation of a gender cabinet secretary docket dedicated to combating gender-based violence. Susan Nganga, GBS News.
Kenya Power has returned to profitability, recording 30 billion Kenyan shillings in earnings for the full year ending June 2024, recovering from a net loss of 3.19 billion in the previous year. This was driven by increased electricity sales and reduced finance costs due to a stronger Kenya shillings. Here is our story and more in business.
Power has recorded 30.5 billion Kenyan shillings after tax profit for the financial year 2023-2024. The power supplier said on Tuesday that the profit is largely due to the strengthening of the Kenyan shilling, which now trades at 129 against the US dollar. According to the company, during the year that ended in June, the electricity sales increased by 21% to 231 billion Kenyan shillings. Kenya Power plans to sustain its profitability by bolstering priority areas that will guide its business operations while consistently delivering value to its shareholders. These areas include financial sustainability, operational excellence, customer centricity, and strengthening of human capital. In other updates, Kenya net profit for the full year ending June 2024 expanded by 35% to 6.8 billion Kenyan shillings on improved geothermal and hydroelectric revenues. In 12 months to June last year, the power produced profit after tax stood at 5 billion Kenyan shillings. According to the company's managing director and CEO Peter Njenga, the firm was able to post better performance by minimizing management costs and improving efficiency. Hilary Kabila, GBS News.
Juliana Yapan, Principal Administration Secretary in the Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, has confirmed that the implementation of the government's bottom-up economic transformation agenda projects in Siaya is progressing well, despite some initial challenges. Yapan emphasized the government's commitment to ensuring the successful rollout of these projects, which aim to uplift local communities by fostering economic growth from grassroots level. Meanwhile, in other news, Baringo County has recorded an equal percentage of boys and girls sitting for this year's Kenya Primary School Education Assessment that started on Monday. Out of 17,905 candidates sitting for the KPSEA in 758 centers spread across the 7 sub-counties within Baringo, 50% are boys and 50% are girls. Paris Kego with more from the counties.
Juliana Yapan, Principal Administration Secretary in the Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, has confirmed that the implementation of the government bottom-up economic transformation agenda project in Siaya is on track despite early setbacks. Speaking in Siaya after leading a delegation to assess the project, Yapan mentioned that initiatives like affordable housing and modern markets face delays due to crucial geological reports, but these challenges have been addressed.
So we have come to Nyanza region and we are covering projects in Kisumu, Siaya, Homa Bay and Migori. Today we started with Siaya, where we went to verify the projects under the State Department for Housing and the State Department for Agriculture.
She said that the availability of the crucial documents has seen the contractor move with the speed, and already the construction of 882 affordable housing units in Siaya town was at the foundation stage. The Principal Administration Secretary, who also inspected the construction of the modern market, said the facility was already at 40% despite initial delay by the contractor. Under the Better Flagship project, the government is undertaking several initiatives, such as implementation of the edible oil value chain, expansion of the acreage and cotton productions, and transformation, decentralization and digitization of the state law office in Siaya and other counties in Nyanza region. Meanwhile, Baringo County has achieved gender parity in this year Kenya Primary School Education Assessment, with boys and girls each making up to 50% of the 17,905 candidates across 758 centers. County Commissioner Stephen Sangolo Kutwa highlighted that the equal numbers reflect parents' commitment to providing equal opportunities for both gender in education.
Katika sehemu hii kwa shule za KEPSEA tuko na centers 758 na wanafunzi ambao wanafanya mtihani huo ni wanafunzi 17,905 ikiwa asilimia 50 ni wavulana.
Kutwa noted that the education is an equalizer in the modern day society, and hence children of the both gender must be given their constitutional right to education. However, a spot check at AIC Visa Oshual Cabinet, which is the county's giant public primary school, out of the total 205 candidates who are sitting for the KIPSI, 103 are boys, while 102 are girls. The school principal, Mr. Elijah Bowen, who addressed journalists on Monday after conclusion of mathematics and English exam papers, concurred that the numbers of boys and girls are the same, unlike in the past decades, whereby there were more girls than boys.
We have a candidature of 205 candidates, 102 girls, 103 boys. They are almost the same.
In others news, the Law Society of Kenya, LSK, has launched Legal Awareness Week in Nyahururu, themed Law for People, by the People, empowering citizen participation. During the week, residents can engage with the advocates and legal professionals to learn about legal issues, court processes, and constitutional rights. Nyahururu LSK Practice Center Head Maureen Wanjiru and Chief Resident Magistrate Evans Kiago announced that free legal services will also be provided to litigants.
Hii inatarajiwa kwamba mwisho wa wiki ambayo itakuwa tarehe 1, wananchi watakuwa wamepata ujumbe ambao unawezesha wao kuelewa sheria na haki zao kulingana na katiba yetu.
During this time, the services we'll be offering free legal services to our members of the public. In this aspect, you are allowed to walk into our tent, whereby you are allowed to ask any question regarding the law. Remember, we are saying law for the people. It's law for the people, by the people.
The activities also bring together other stakeholders among the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, the Office of the Director of the Public Prosecution, among others, who in unison rallied on members of the public to take advantage of the week to get free legal aid from advocates who are ready, available to offer the same. Wanjiru pointed out active public participation in any area that concerns them is their constitutional right, and their views should be considered when Parliament is passing resolutions. The annual event aims at bringing awareness to members of the public the legal processes involved in various court matters. Kigo pointed out that through the Legal Awareness Week is organized by LSK, judiciary works closely with the legal body to enhance community, get the legal information through bringing awareness of the event to clients who attended the court, as well as having the desk for judicial staff who advised members of the public on matters related to court. Paris Kigo, GBS News.
Many thanks for joining this live broadcast. We have a lot lined up for you in our news segment tonight, but first let us take a quick commercial break.
Hello friends, welcome to Kids Mind. This is the Coding Zone segment
My name is Andrew, and in this segment, I will be teaching you how to code. What comes into your mind when you hear the word coding? Coding is giving simple steps to a device so that it can follow these steps and give you an output. Coding is used to make apps, websites, animations, and even the games that you play on your phone or tablet.
Assessments are conducted twice a year. We have the May-June examinations and the October-November examinations in a given year.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the broadcast and now to matters. International news. Botswana, recognized as one of Africa's most enduring democracies, will hold its general elections on the 30th of October as declared by President Mokgweetsi Masisi. Masisi, who seeks a second and final term, received the backing of his ruling Botswana Democratic Party for his re-election bid. This election will decide the makeup of the National Assembly, whose members will then be responsible for selecting the president. Here's more.
Botswana, one of Africa's longest-standing democracies, will hold its general elections on October 30, as announced by President Mokgweetsi Masisi. Masisi, endorsed by his ruling Botswana Democratic Party, seek a second and final term amid these economic challenges. Masisi, a former high school teacher and UNICEF employee, is Botswana's fifth president. The Botswana Democratic Party has had power since Botswana independence in 1966. The elections will determine the composition of parliament, which will then elect the president. The vote comes at a time of economic strain for Botswana, the world's second largest diamond producer. Rising unemployment, delay in public sector salaries, and criticism over economic diversifications have put pressure on Masisi and the BDP, sparking concern over potential austerity measures. Over 1 million voters have registered for the elections, where rising unemployment is a key issue. Botswana, which is larger than France but has a population of only 2.5 million, faces threat from drought and desertifications impacting resident livelihoods. Masisi faces three challengers: Duma Boko of the main opposition Umbrella for Democratic Change, Dumelang Selshando of the Botswana Congress Party, and the Mefato Little of the Botswana Patriotic Front. The elections revived Masisi feud with former President Ian Khama, who led the BDP and went into exile in South Africa in 2021, accusing Masisi of dictatorship. Khama returned in September to campaign for the BPF against Masisi amid allegations of politically motivated charges against him. Paris Kigo, GBS News.
Sudan is facing an unprecedented humanitarian crisis with ongoing conflict leading to the world's largest displacement situation, leaving millions in urgent need for assistance. UNICEF's Deputy Executive Director, Ted Chaiban, is urgently calling for global attention to the crisis, warning that without increased support, the consequences could be catastrophic for countless lives. Here is the full report.
UNICEF's Deputy Executive Director, Ted Chaiban, has issued a powerful warning about the escalating humanitarian crisis in Sudan, calling it the largest displacement crisis in the world. Despite the dire conditions affecting millions, Chaiban highlights that this urgent situation is being overshadowed by other global conflicts, stating apathetically that the crisis is not forgotten and cannot be forgotten.
That is happening on our watch and remains unaddressed is Sudan. And that crisis is forgotten, and it cannot be forgotten.
With the conflict ongoing since April 2023, fierce fighting between Sudan's military and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces has left over 14 million people displaced and 8.5 million facing severe food insecurity, including nearly 775,000 on the brink of famine. Chaiban described these figures as unprecedented.
It is the largest displacement crisis in the world. We have levels of food insecurity that we've almost never seen, certainly not in a generation. And if we don't respond and pay attention to the crisis in Sudan, many will die.
As the crisis deepens, the urgency for global action has never been greater. Disease outbreaks are spreading rapidly, with cholera claiming over 700 lives, further complicating the humanitarian response. As the world watches, Chebani is calling for Sudan to receive the same level of attention as crises in Gaza and Lebanon, urging the global community to stand in solidarity and bring relief to those who are suffering.
We need to ring the alarm bell today. Sudan needs the same level of attention as Gaza and Lebanon.
Irene Juguna, GBS News.
Backlash has intensified following former President Donald Trump's recent rally in New York City after a comedian made a racially charged and hate speech comments about Puerto Rico, which is an American territory. The hateful remarks have drawn sharp criticism from Latino leaders and high-profile figures. Abdi Hamid Ali has more details.
Presidential candidate Donald Trump held one of his most infamous rallies yet in New York City on Sunday. The rally was packed with his supporters and famous speakers, including wrestler Hulk Hogan, former Fox News host Tucker Carlson, and tech giant Elon Musk. Tucker Carlson mocked Kamala Harris's ethnicity, saying disparaging comments.
Samoan, Malaysian, low IQ, former California prosecutor ever to be elected president. It was just a groundswell of popular support.
Comedian Tony Hinchcliffe stood out the most.
If you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah, I think it's called Puerto Rico.
The fallout was swift, with Trump campaign advisor quickly distancing the former president from the racist statement, stating, "This joke does not reflect the views of President Trump or the campaign. Recent poll shows 56% of registered voters support mass deportations. 88% of Trump supporters support crackdown on illegal immigrants."
President of the United States was about uplifting the people and not berating, not calling America a garbage can.
The Puerto Rican community are outraged by the comedian's statement in a Trump rally. Many are angry towards Trump.
Convicted Trump didn't say the words that were said at his rally. But it doesn't matter because it was his rally.
You know, he made a calculated error yesterday. Basically, he said goodbye to PA, to Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, we have 450,000 Puerto Ricans.
He has shown us time and time again that he doesn't value us, that he doesn't value our vote, that he doesn't respect us as people.
Meanwhile, President Joe Biden voted early in his home state in Delaware yesterday. He has shown support and endorsed his Vice President, Kamala Harris. Puerto Ricans represent the second largest Hispanic demographic in the United States, and while those living on the island cannot vote in the presidential elections, those residing on the mainland can, making their political voices increasingly impactful in the U.S. elections. Trump might have alienated a group of potential voters who may be crucial in his re-elections. This is Abdi Hamid Ali, GBS News.
French President Emmanuel Macron arrived in Morocco on Monday for a three-day visit aimed at strengthening bilateral ties, particularly in trade, climate action and immigration. During his stay in Rabat, Macron is set to hold talks with King Mohammed VI and Prime Minister Aziz and will also address the Moroccan parliament. The visit marks a significant step towards mending relations after a period of diplomatic tension between the two countries. Here is more on the same.
French President Emmanuel Macron arrived in Morocco on Monday for a three-day visit aimed at strengthening bilateral ties, particularly in trade, climate actions and immigration. A key focus of the visit is the recent diplomatic shift in France's stance on the disputed Western Sahara. In July, Macron reversed France's long-standing neutral position by backing Macron's autonomy plan for the region, aligning Paris more closely with Rabat's interests. Economically, Morocco is a key destination for French investment in Africa, hosting over 900 French subsidiaries. France is Morocco's largest trading partner, with extensive ties across industries such as automotive manufacturing, renewable energy and finance. The French president trip comes at a time when both countries are seeking to adapt to new economic and geopolitical realities. Morocco has been intensifying its outreach to global investors, and Macron's visit could signify a renewed commitment to economic cooperations and joint initiative on development projects, especially in the context of climate change adaptation and energy transition. France recently faced criticism for imposing visa restrictions on Moroccans, which strained diplomatic relations. Macron's visit provided an opportunity to address these issues and explore avenues for more balanced immigration policies that facilitate mobility while addressing concern over irregular migration. By backing Morocco's Western Sahara Autonomy Plan, France is aligning its policy with U.S. support and reflecting a more pragmatic approach to North African geopolitics. Peris Kigo, GBS News.
In a controversial move, Israel's parliament has passed a law banning the United Nations Relief and Work Agency, commonly referred to as UNRWA, from operating within Israel. The legislation is causing concerns among Israel's Western allies, who worry it could deepen the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Here are the details.
Yesterday, majority of the Israeli members of parliament have voted in favor of banning the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, also known as UNRWA, regardless of their political affiliation. The new law comes amid heightened tensions following the conflict in Gaza, with Israeli officials attributing the ban to allegations that certain UNRWA employees were involved in the Hamas October 7th attacks on southern Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu emphasized that, in his words, UNRWA workers involved in terrorist activities against Israel must be held accountable. UNRWA's Commissioner General Filipe Lazzarini criticized the decision, calling it a violation of the international law and an affront to the UN Charter. He argued that this was part of a wider campaign aimed at sabotaging UNRWA's mission to provide essential services to Palestinian refugees. The U.S. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said in a press conference that the U.S. is deeply concerned by the ban of UNRWA.
UNRWA plays a critical, important role in delivering humanitarian assistance to civilians that need it in Gaza. That's not the only role they play. They play an important role providing services to Palestinians in the West Bank and throughout the region as well. But they really play an irreplaceable role right now in Gaza, where they're on the front lines getting humanitarian assistance to the people they need it. There's nobody that can replace them right now.
UNRWA was established in 1949 following the mass expulsions of Palestinians during the formation of Israel. Their goal is to provide humanitarian assistance, education, health services, and social support to Palestinian refugees across the Middle East. Operating in areas like Gaza, the West Bank, Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria, UNRWA supports millions of displaced individuals with essential services. The ban on UNRWA could have devastating effects on Palestinian communities in Gaza and the West Bank. Without this essential agency, thousands of refugees may lose access to critical services like education, healthcare, and emergency relief. Families who already struggle under difficult conditions now face even greater uncertainty as the support they depend on is stripped away. For many, this decision feels like another blow to their dignity and hopes for a stable future. This is Abdihamid Ali, GBS News.
Do keep your comments coming in through our SMS line 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. That international news brings us to our sports news. Let's get sporty. Manchester City and Spain midfielder Rodri was awarded the men's Ballon d'Or on Monday after winning a fourth consecutive Premier League title and Euro 2024. but Real Madrid boycotted the ceremony. The decision to award the prize for the world's best player to deep-lying midfielder came as a surprise, with Real Madrid's Liga and Champions League double winner Vinicius Jr. widely seen as a pre-ceremony favorite. Hours before the festivities in Paris, the Spanish club announced its delegation would not attend the ceremony at the Chalet Theatre because of what it perceived is a snub of Vinicius. Rodley, 28, played a key role as the City held off Arsenal to win the Premier League title last season and was named player of the tournament at the Euro 2024 as unfazed Spain emerged triumphant in Germany. Despite the French organizers insisting that the identity of the winner was a closely guarded secret this year, the news appeared to have leaked, with Madrid announcing hours before the ceremony they would not attend. Barcelona and Spain star Aitana Bonmati earlier won her second successful Women's Ballon d'Or after leading her club to a historic continental quadruple of titles and claiming the Nations League with her country. The drama started hours before the ceremony as Spanish and European champions Real said if Vinicius was not the winner, then the award should go to his teammate Dani Carvajal. Like the Brazilian, Carvajal scored in the 2-0 victory against Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League final at Wembley. Erik ten Hag sacked by Manchester United after 2.5 years as manager with side 14th in the Premier League. Ruud van will take charge as interim head coach while a permanent successor is recruited. Manchester United's new co-owner, Ineos, had backed Erik ten Hag in the summer with a contract extension until June 2026, but he leaves with the club lying 14th in the Premier League. The decision to sack ten Hag, who was only given a contract extension in July after surviving a summer review and spent over 600 million euros in transfer fees during his tenure, has been described as difficult and finely balanced by Manchester United's hierarchy. Ten Hag's sacking is the cost of United in the region of 13.5 million euros. Ten Hag is understood to have been taken back by the timing of his outing. However, it is understood that a decision by the club's board made less than 24 hours after their controversial 2-1 defeat at West Ham on Sunday was unanimous. Crucially, it was felt that the club's on-field results have not been good enough. In contrast to the comments from Ten Hag, the hierarchy did not see the team on the right path and felt there were no excuses for the position United are in. They have won just 4 of their 14 games this season. And that sports news brings us to the end of our news segment tonight. Many thanks for joining this broadcast. And as always, here at GBS News at 9, we make your news our business. My name is Beatrice Njeri. Our sign language interpreter is Paul Mathenge. Good night.